What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Green Night Life. I think we're on episode 5 or so now. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm one of your co-hosts, Nathan.
Hey, I'm the other co-host, Tim.
All right. And, sorry, for those listening to the recording, we just did that for the second time because I'm an idiot, didn't hit record. So it was, awkward for us, but it won't be awkward for you. Or maybe it was. It probably was. Anyways, so this week, we have a special guest, Thomas. Thomas, say hi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on. It's an incredible honor.
Hell yeah.
I've never gotten to guest star on another SNC Radio show.
Yeah, because you have your own show, right?
Yeah, 4 quarters. We're on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 to 4. There's my little plug. It's me and 3 others, and we just run down what's happened in the days before our show and the days after, break down games, general commentary on, ongoings in the sports world. It's a lot of fun.
And you guys have 4 people on that show, recurring?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty funny situation. There's 3 of us, so myself, Mags, we are the only 3 who have consistently been on the show all 4 years. We started the show freshman year, and there was a 4th, Ben. He transferred to Eau Claire, and he's now coaching. He's an assistant coach, I think, on their basketball team. So he always comes around once or twice to just come back on the show, relive it. Last year, and maybe even 2 years ago, we had Riley, John. They have also moved on, and this year we have Tony G, who also has a radio show. So we finally have our solidified 4th member for a full year. But what stinks is second semester, I will probably not be on the show due to student teaching.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We're going back to we only have 3 people on the 4 quarters show. It's a lot of fun, though. It's the way it started, me, myself, Eric, and Ben all lived on Burke 4th floor freshman year, and we would always yell at each other, always about it. And Max Ziegler lived over in Madlore. He's a basketball aficionado, so they brought him on, and it's just kind of, we've run with it ever since. It's a lot of fun, though. A lot of fun.
That's cool. I feel like for us, it'd be really hard to have, anything like that where people, 4 people recurring because everyone's, so spontaneous with their schedules.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's we had that one week, the first week we did the show, we had Mark and Ben on. And, those would be, if we were to do something like that, those would probably be, the 2 we would go to.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's why I thought it'd be cool to have them on week 1 of the show. But I couldn't see us doing that every single week. It'd be fun, don't get me wrong, but, I don't know. But, because we just talk about literally whatever.
Yeah, right.
Whereas you guys, you have a set topic, you have sports. In sports, there's new games and new variables every week. So it's there's no conversation to that'll die.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of sports. There's always something going on, like you said. And each of us kind of has a specialty. And each of us know just enough about the other sports to add in and have a conversation with another. Mac, big NBA. Eric is big into hockey. Tony is big into baseball, and I love football.
There you go.
And then we can all kind of talk to one another about each of the different sports. It's just kind of fortuitous that we can always just somehow find a slot in our schedule that it always works. I'm shocked every semester that it works out. And if somehow next semester it works out too, I don't know. I have no idea because I'm pretty sure. What time do you get out on average?
I usually leave around 3:45.
Yeah, so if we somehow get a 4 o'clock show, I would be shocked. Genuinely shocked.
Yeah.
There's no way it's going to happen, but if it does, hey, I'm not going to complain. I'd like to continue to do it for that final semester. But yeah, it's so much fun. This club in general is fantastic. You just get to come in and yell at people about just random stuff. I think my favorite memory from radio is when we had Amon Green on. Former Packers running back. He's the all-time leading rusher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A lot of fun. But I got in a shouting match with him over the LeBron James, Michael Jordan debate. And we were just kind of yelling at each other in the studio. It didn't even click that this guy is an all-time Packers great. He's a legend in the game of football. He is unbelievably strong. I think he's got he's big into video games. He does Twitch now. He's very popular on Twitch. He does play-by-play for the Men Championships, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very involved in
Wait, what was his name?
Amon Green.
Oh, we almost had him on Player Parlor last year.
He is awesome, and I cannot recommend him enough. He's a ton of fun. I really liked him. And he was almost the running backs coach here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
almost,
Oh, okay.
He was almost
Yeah.
going to be one of the coaches for the football.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But yeah, he's awesome. Ton of fun to watch when he was playing, and it was really nice when he came in and talked to us. I'm pretty sure he's super big into comic books as well. That's another thing that I loved talking to him about. We talked about that more pre-show because like we're a sports show, we're not really talking about comics. But
Right.
Yeah.
I think he said he has like first editions of like Batman and Spider-Man.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. What's the term? What run specifically he was talking about? I'm assuming it's more like the earlier runs.
Oh, I don't.
Your 1 through 100.
I don't know the name of it, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think he said something about that. He told us if he could have any car in the world, it'd be the Batmobile. I don't know. I wouldn't choose the Batmobile because that's a great car to have. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. I enjoyed that so much.
Well, that guy sounds not only like awesome, but just well rounded too. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
if he could I feel like he could meld into almost any show here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because you guys had him on to talk about sports. We were gonna have him on to talk about video games that one time. I mean, it didn't work out, but still, like it was talked about.
And that's the craziest thing about a lot of athletes. They are so much more than that one dimension that you see on TV. Take a guy like Amon Green. If you didn't know anything about him and just saw him on TV, you'd think, oh, his whole life is football. He played at Nebraska when he was younger. That's what he wanted to do growing up in Nebraska, I believe. Came to the Packers. It's such like a football town. You'd think that these athletes, all they do is their sport. They're so much more than that. They're involved in tons of different things. You look at a guy like LeBron James, billionaire, and he did it through playing basketball. He was really good at one thing, entered the business world, excelled there. It's incredible, and you're seeing it more and more with different athletes branching into like podcasting, the business world. I know Shaq owns like several businesses out in California. Magic Johnson, all these guys, they're making incredible moves in the business world, post and during their athletics career. So they're super well rounded, and you can always find somebody who's on an athletic team that matches up with your interests, and a lot of them are hilarious. A lot of them are really funny guys. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah.
No, that is awesome. Yeah, no, that was off of. I'm trying to remember where that came. Yeah, like we're talking about radio. Like, sorry, no. I'm like, I don't know. My head's like
for those who
my head's like two different places right now.
If you could see what is in the studio right now, Nathan has a pile of math tests that he has to grade, and I'm looking at it, kind of shaking in my boots, because I'll be in Nathan's situation, not in the same content area, but I'll be in Nathan's shoes next semester, having to grade a pile of tests in a manageable amount of time to get back to students.
Well, I mean, that just kind of depends on like the curriculum you end up doing, though, because like with math, like my cooperating teacher is very rigorous, and I have to kind of follow her curriculum. So her curriculum involves like with students like a quiz one week and a test the next, and there's two different classes that I teach, being Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and so once in a blue moon, which seems to be the case every other week, a test will fall the day of another test, and then I'll just get buried for that night. Which is like, I don't know. It's not bad. I'm kind of getting used to it. But, like, grading math, because you're history.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know what... I don't know, because do you know our placement yet?
No, I'm pretty sure we get those either at the end of this month or I think just before we come back. I have no idea. Because we still have to meet with our co-ops. I haven't gotten a single email about this.
The way they did it for us is that it was either late April or early May when we had a meeting, and they gave that all to us.
Okay.
So that'll probably be the end of like this month or early next month for you. That's where you sit down, and they give you your placement, and you just sit there for 2 hours, and they just lecture about student teaching. Specifically, it's Debbie Foss having you ask your questions, kind of like crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
How it works, which is, I mean, it is what it is. Like it's informational. You learn a lot, but then for me, and like I know a lot of other people who are in the student teaching gig this semester, we were like really confused all summer, and that there was some direction that we didn't have until like our cooperating teachers told us stuff. Like for me, there's a structure behind it. It's like, because I don't know how it's gonna work in middle school, but because I'm doing high school right now, the way that they do it is that, or the way that they're supposed to do it. This is in the student teacher handbook.
Yeah.
For cooperating teachers, which I didn't know existed So I didn't know to actually look in that. So I found out like the week before I was going to student teach that the structure is you're supposed to sit and observe for a week.
Really?
And like not even do anything. And the next week pick up one class. The next week pick up another class. So like after like 5 weeks or so, then you're kind of full time. But like the way they made it sound was that you just go in.
You just jump into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because for the people that I've talked to about student teaching, they have all taken on a full, or like at least half of their teachers' course load in the first 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. Like, Beth, for example, picked up a full schedule of teaching in like her second week.
No wonder she was so stressed out at the
I
beginning.
know, she was teaching like 5 classes.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, it's simultaneously a terrifying yet exciting, experience. I'm pretty jazzed to do it, but I've heard some horror stories so far.
I mean,
and I'm a bit worried.
I mean, I'm enjoying it personally. Like, this could be because it's something different. Like, I'm sick of sitting in classes.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm on the other side of things. It's nice, and it's like it's all stuff I'm interested in. It's all it's literally my major. What I'm gonna do the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Is teaching. Unlike sitting here and taking Spanish 102. For a random example, I know we have a Spanish minor. Are you still a Spanish minor?
Yeah.
I know we have a Spanish minor in the room. That's just the first course that came to my mind. That's going to have nothing to do with any. Well, that's not entirely true because like this course I'm teaching right now is a big Hebrew Bible.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a class I took last year that I'm never going to use anything from. Sorry, Dr. Rodriguez, but I don't think that's going to come up when I'm teaching high school math.
Yeah.
And then like next semester, I have like Western Tradition and Beyond Borders.
Oh man, listen here, Western Tradition. I took that freshman year with Dr. Marty Lamar. She's a great professor, but her heart was not in that class. She would stand up at the podium for an hour and a half in a very monotone, quiet voice, just start talking. And we were in a boil room. And for those of you who know about boil, boil gets up to like 140 degrees in the winter.
What's why it's called boil?
It's why it's called boil. And so I would be sitting in there. I learned my lesson freshman year. You wear a sweatshirt with a t-shirt underneath, and you wear sweatpants with shorts underneath. So that when you're in boil and it gets too hot, you drop trowel at your desk, everything cools off, you take your sweatshirt, you continue to take notes, you don't have to miss a beat. And then once you go back out into the snow, you pull your pants up, you put the sweatshirt back on, and you're out the door and ready to go.
God, that's
It
awesome.
was so unbelievably hot, and it was such a long class. I mean, it's part of my major, history. It's part of my major. And I just could not focus. I could not get anything done for it because I was constantly either asleep or like sweating profusely.
Yeah.
Or both.
Or both. And that combination is awful. Oh, but yeah, Dr. Lamar, she was great. Really, she was actually a really good professor. A ton of fun to talk to. But yeah, that was a miserable class. Do you have Levano? Do you know?
I don't know what I'm doing yet. I need to decide like by tomorrow. I could do it because like both Tamika and Ross are taking it.
Ooh.
So it's like that would be kind of nice for me, especially with like do you get to pick your own discussion groups in that class or is it randomly?
Generally, if it's Levano, it's just generally wherever you're sitting.
Okay, so I'd probably be with people I know then. So that would be kind of nice, but like I don't know, like just history is not my thing. But now before I speak on that, I haven't taken a history class since sophomore year of high school. So things might have changed, but sophomore year of high school, history was not my thing.
Yeah.
I
Ms. Egan.
Oh, okay. Well, that
So
explains it. Yeah.
both Marquette boys, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same with me, though, because I haven't taken... Well, that's not true. I took a history class last year. But I hadn't taken one since sophomore year either. Junior year, I avoided, like, the plague.
Yeah.
I don't do history very well. Like, I'm a physics major. I do, like, math and Spanish. So I just don't...
Math and Smash.
So, like, I kind of, like, pick up history stuff here and there from, like, my own, like, study. But, like, I'm not, like, good at, like, history, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we're going to get philosophical here for a moment. Everything that you're studying is just the history of your content.
True.
So everything you learn in physics is just the history of what somebody learned before.
No.
Same thing with mathematics.
I don't like that.
I mean, generally you learn something new every once in a decade or something like that. I mean, with physics it's probably a little more frequent. As we discover things a little bit more. I don't really know how math works. But
there's constantly new like discoveries, but they're not always like relevant.
Do you want to know what always baffles me? Countable infinity.
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind. Yeah. It's the something hotel.
Yeah, the Infinite Hotel.
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out. It's just nuts to me. It's so crazy.
It is.
It's just an absolutely ridiculous thing to think about.
Yeah.
Didn't the guy who like theorized countable infinities go insane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the original guy.
He did,
was it? He was like, was he French? Was it French guy?
I don't remember.
I think it was. Yeah.
But yeah, he went insane and they locked him up.
Yeah.
Because he discovered countable infinity. That's crazy to me.
Right.
Like but just that topic in and of itself, when somebody tried to explain it to me, I was like, that makes no sense, like at all whatsoever.
Right.
But to think that you guys deal with stuff like that, again, physics and math on a daily basis, I could never do it. I just couldn't. It's too much. My brain is too small.
well, that's why I'm doing like high school math, where there's not any new discoveries to be made.
Yeah.
Versus like being a full-on mathematician, where I do like math research. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
I couldn't, like, Dr. Leiterman right now is spending the entire semester just doing research, and I feel like that would just drive me nuts. Like, she loves it. Mm-hmm. She really does, and that's awesome for her. And I know Dr. Myers doing the exact same thing next semester.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that.
Honestly, because, like, when I came in as a physics major, like, I used to have, like, delusions of grandeur that I was going to be, like, this great, like, research experimental physicist, right? Yeah. And ever since every, like, lab class that I've taken since, I just find that labs so mind-numbing. Like, it's just so boring. I'm sitting there taking data, and I'm like, I could be doing something else. Like, I love physics. I love everything about physics and math. But, like, I just am not an experimentalist at heart. I'm more of, like, a theorist or, like data analyst. And, like, that's the direction I want to take, is, like, just analyzing data and, like, making, like, comments on it.
Now, we're going to do a little bit of connection here. Sports is going more and more the way of numbers.
Yeah.
As time goes on. And numbers guys are becoming huge. It started in baseball. Analytics was huge in baseball. It's reached the NBA. The new style is you find out what shot works best for what player, and you run it into the ground so you can't do it anymore. Then you trade him away the second his value hits like zero. And even in football, it's starting to creep in. Football is a little more primitive, so it still relies on the raw physicality of people. Right. But yeah, numbers in sports, it's become a hilarious thing. Because some people hate it so deeply because they're such purists of the sport.
Exactly.
And some people are so, like, bought into it that they can't see anything else. Mm-hmm. Like, the best players and the best coaches fall in that middle ground where they understand the analytics side, they understand the emotional side, and they can find that center place. Right. But, oh my lord, the fights between the two are unbelievable. You can go on Twitter and you can just see an all-out war about guys talking about the eye test versus the numbers test.
Okay.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah. It's a ton of fun, though. But yeah. In case you don't like something that you're doing later on in life, you find a baseball team that's struggling. You you go in, you run some data, give it to them, make your millions.
Yeah, right, for sure. Like, I honestly think that's really fascinating. Like, there's it's so many things in life that, like, this is the way I this is like my perspective on it. Like, there's so many things in life that we can, like, quantize that, like, we don't think about. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it should be quantized, but, like, we can. And I just think it's, like, so interesting, like, how we can make like assumptions and, like, improvements based on that data. And I think like you were saying, like, sports, it's really interesting seeing how the sports world is changing because of that. I think it's just really interesting.
Have you seen Moneyball by any chance?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, because that's the prime example of analytics right now. Taking one player and breaking him into 3 different players. Mm-hmm. That was, like, a very revolutionary strategy. Because, I mean, the player in question, Matt Damon, was an all-time great. I'm pretty sure he's a Hall of Famer now. Mm-hmm. He went on to win, I think, 1 World Series with the Yankees, 1 with the Red Sox. The point was, he was unbelievable. And they somehow replaced him with 3 guys who, by all accounts, were done in the league. But just through sheer number analysis, they were able to do it. So, I mean, if you can ever find the perfect mix of the two, I mean, that's when you find, and we kind of have seen it. You've seen it in football with the Patriots, in basketball with the Warriors, and then in baseball, you could sort of say the Giants figured it out at the beginning of this decade, then it fell off. But everybody got on board, so everybody got better. But yeah, the blending of those two, it's been magnificent to watch. Mm-hmm. I really like it. You're seeing a whole new styles of play, just because some guy with a computer figured out that was the best way to play. Yeah. It's really great.
Something else that's, like, mind blowing to me is that they're constantly, like, finding new, like, mathematical ways to score things.
Yeah.
Like, I actually just went to a talk this morning. We have our Pi Mu Upsilon conference every year here at St. Norbert College that concluded this morning, and we had a keynote speaker, Dr. Steven Sidlick from UW Oshkosh, and he gave a nice long talk about so Dr. Steven Dr. Sidlick is a math professor at UW-Oshkosh, but he's also a cross-country coach.
Okay.
So one of his big things is like using the math he knows to come up with like new ways to score and compare scores of cross-country teams. So like taking the score of like running is simple. Like, you know, you run, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, you run 10 miles in an hour. I don't know if that's reasonable or not. Probably, maybe like hour, 20 minutes. I have no idea. But, so you run 10 miles in an hour and 20 minutes. That's easy to score. Your time was an hour and 20 minutes, right? There's no, but like, the ways you compare these scores to like other teams, because there's like, you're not only comparing these individual people against each other, but you have to figure out like what school won. So you're comparing the set of scores from UW-Oshkosh with the set of scores from UW-Stevens Point with, you know what I mean? So like just like a bunch of different ways to do that, like I thought was really cool. It was like just, you know, doing like a triangle of comparisons, or just adding up all the scores, or just, but then there's like always like new like calculus based ones you can do, which is like mind blowing.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would, you know, spend the time doing that when there's simpler ways, but I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. That kind of ties in.
Now, did you go into physics for space purposes? Is that what you were looking at?
Yeah.
Space is fantastic, man. I know it's a pretty stereotypical thing to say, but holy cow.
No, it really is.
It's crazy.
It really is, yeah.
Talk about things that blow your mind. Holy cow, look up in the night sky. And
it is honestly crazy.
Technically looking at history, because that star fizzled out a billion years ago.
Exactly.
You're still getting light. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, I love how, this is like kind of tangential, but like I just love how like the whole concept of like looking into history, and I think like tying that into like extraterrestrial life, I think it's just fascinating. Like the Fermi paradox, like, oh my god.
Aliens exist, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Aliens exist?
Depends on the context, but I believe there is life out there.
No,
I don't like the term alien, but I do believe there is extraterrestrial life in some form.
Yeah.
The government more or less came out and said extraterrestrial life exists.
Yeah.
Was it Project Blue Book?
I think so, yep.
And I think whatever the continued thing that they just released like 3 years ago, the Navy was like finding things in the air and then were not obeying the laws of physics or something like that.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
I know.
My dad was telling us for years aliens existed.
Yeah.
Told us for years. We were like, no way. And then he's vindicated and this all comes out and like, aliens exist. I was shocked people did not care as much as I cared. That came out and I was like, he was right. There are other things in here, and we got to start prepping. I think I'm going to be a doomsday prepper.
Really?
Because, I mean, I'm not going to lie. That report really rattled me, and I'm afraid. Like, I know in our movies we always beat them by some, like, loophole, like a sickness that they're not used to, or, like,
water. Something like that, right?
Water.
I don't believe
water.
That. I'm not buying into any of that.
Right.
So I think I'm going to be a doomsday prepper.
Honestly, like, just like the philosophical like idea that like they're so advanced, so like what isn't stopping them from just like wiping out our civilization?
And isn't that that's Fermi paradox, right? If we haven't encountered it by now, it doesn't exist, or it's not out there.
Something like that, right? Yeah.
And then there's one other, it's something about a net. Is it the universal net?
Oh yeah.
Universal web.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Something
like that. Yeah.
You can't cross through to other other civilizations until you reach a certain point. Technologically, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to think that there are other species out there that have gotten to such a point that they can either mask themselves or keep us from going anywhere else in development until we get to a certain spot. That's crazy. Yeah. Like, I don't understand that. I don't know how somebody thought of that.
I know, and that's actually
the crazy part about it.
It really is.
Somebody was able to, which also blends into the fact that I think aliens are already here and they're feeding us ideas.
What?
So honestly,
you tell me the iPhone.
Honestly,
tell me the iPhone's not alien technology.
There is a lot of like I don't want to say like evidence because that might be too far out there. But like there's a lot of like thought that some of the greatest inventions in like mankind came out of nowhere. Yeah. Right? And
it's
like
somebody giving us a little nudge.
Exactly.
And I don't trust them. I don't trust any of it. I mean, I have a touchscreen on my phone.
Right.
I don't understand how it works.
Exactly.
I don't get it. You could tell me how it works right now.
Like, how do you just like think of some of that stuff, right?
It's nuts. And they call it the great thinkers.
Yeah.
Get out of here. It's all alien.
Can we go back to the iPhone comment?
No, but you tell me how some guy was like, you know what? We should be able to touch it, but not have buttons.
That's not alien.
No, that's alien. That's outlandish to me. There's too much there.
No, you know what's alien to me? You know the game Mindflex?
No.
So it's like this game from like 2010 maybe. and it's a little obstacle course, but you put on a strap around your head, and it measures your brain waves, and that moves that powers a fan underneath the course.
That's too much.
Like that.
That's wild.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, but like the iPhone, I feel that.
The iPhone scares me.
But like, touchscreens were a thing before the iPhone.
Listen, all of it scares me. Technology in general.
The Nintendo DS scares you.
Hey, I enjoyed it, but still terrifying. If you really think about how crazy the things we have.
The direction technology is taking and how fast it's increasing, like the advancements, it's just nuts. Nice job there, Nathan.
I just spilled water all over my notebook.
At least we know your notebook's not an alien.
You're right.
True. Everyone knows. Yeah.
But I mean, I'll take one jump further if we're going to go down a crazy conspiracy. But I think the government and Google is all run by aliens.
Okay.
I
can see an argument made for that.
You cannot argue against me. Or you can argue. You can make a rational argument against it.
Right.
You'd probably be right. But I'm not going to listen.
Okay,
I'm very stubborn in my ways.
That's totally fair, though. Like,
but Google has amassed so much information.
Yeah.
Why do they need it?
Exactly.
Why do they need it?
No, it's really
true.
true.
Aliens taking over the world. Why do you need to know my daily schedule, man? Why do you need to know?
Right, like you said, they have so much information.
Oh,
they can do so much with it. Yeah.
I'm gonna run and grab paper towel. You guys talk about aliens or whatever. I'll be right back.
But how can the lizard people thing?
Yeah, right.
It sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, there's a possibility.
There is a possibility.
Yeah.
The government is so powerful. They have so much information. Why do they need it all?
I think that's something that really fascinates me about all this is just the fact that it's possible. Mm-hmm. That doesn't have to be real, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. It's the thinking about it that's more fun than anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, back to space. It's baffling every time I see a 4K picture of the moon or something like that. See all the craters, the bounces from the asteroids. I still don't understand how they calculated that by hand.
Yeah, right.
Back in the day before computers. What was it? It was the Lockheed Martin women who did all the math by hand for all the early lunar missions, stuff like that. Yeah. That's crazy. But they got it so spot on. That they were so good at math. They had all the trajectories and predictions down to a science. It's incredible.
It really is. Yeah.
I mean, I borderline can't do simple addition without that. It's a bit embarrassing. They were doing.
I'm glad somebody can do something like that.
Advanced mathematic calculations with no computer at all.
Right.
I always try to make the argument that if you drop somebody from the past into the modern age in the middle of Times Square, they just drop dead.
Yeah.
There's just too
much.
much.
Agree. I think so.
There's so many people. You've got screens, lights, cars. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's a really good point, though. It's just an overload of technology. Yeah.
We're making progress. It's kind of dry now. So I don't mean to change the topic, but because aliens are cool and all. But something that I do really want to talk about that we don't get to talk about much on the show for obvious reasons. Thomas, you're an RA.
Oh yeah.
What's the wildest story you can think of?
Okay. All right. Well, I've got to not incriminate myself.
Well,
but at the same time, give you the best story I can think. Wildest thing that's appropriate for radio. All right. So, 2 years ago, when we had that big snowstorm, I was at a friend's house or a friend's apartment. We'd just been playing video games all night. So I make my way back to Burke when Burke was still Burke. And for those of you who know what Burke was like before renovation, or if you don't know what Burke is, imagine just the stereotypical dorm and how wild and active it is, and how people are always just getting up to mischief. That's what Burke was. One day, I was woken up at 2 a.m. by the sound of a very loud crash and thud. I fell back asleep and woke up the next morning to a Snapchat in the RA group chat of a vacuum that had been thrown from a fourth-story window. But, so back to the original story. I come back. I was not the RA at the time. So I'm walking down to my room, and there's just a kid kind of wandering around the hall. Kind of very wandering around. And I could tell he wasn't from the building, because he was all turned around. I think he had ingested certain substances of different kinds that may have impaired his judgment. So I walk up and start talking to him, like, hey, you all right? Like, you know where you are? And he's like, oh, yeah, my friend's right over there. And just kind of points in a general direction. I was like, there's nothing that way. And he's like, no, he's just right over there. And I'm like, all right, well, let's calm down for a second. And then, like, all of a sudden, he just sits down. He goes, I can't stand anymore. I'm like, are you okay? Do you need me to calm down? And he goes, I just can't stand. My ankle really hurts. So I look down at his ankle, and it's swollen to, like, the size of, like, a honeydew. Like, so I think what had happened is he had slipped, sprained, or, like, did something to his ankle. But he was very drunk and very high, I think. So he couldn't really feel it until I had gotten him settled down. And then he just sat there and, like, refused to talk or move. So we had to call the RA on duty, call campus safety. Yeah. And the kid was just loopy. He was out of it. And it was wild. It was like 2 a.m. I was exhausted. I was cold. I accidentally left my window open, so a bunch of snow got into my room.
Oh, okay.
And I was living in, like, the basement level of Burke, so my room was, like, -30. What else? I mean, I've had plenty of things happen on my floor when I wasn't the RA on duty, so I didn't catch them. There was that big alcohol bust.
Oh, at Madlord?
Yeah, this year, 300 beers.
Yeah. That's still wild to me.
Like, I don't know why they needed that much. I mean, as an RA, I have to say, like, you are under 21, you're not allowed to drink.
Right.
Period. You're not allowed to have alcohol in the hall. Period. Blah 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 blah. All that stuff.
Yeah.
But even still, why would you have that much?
Like, even if you were 21 and you could drink.
Right.
As a 21-year-old. I can't go through more than like 6 beers in a week. I'm an old man, so I mean, it doesn't, like, I'm different. Other people probably could, but I drink 6 beers and I get tired.
Yeah.
I gotta fall asleep for the rest of the night because it's just too much. So I don't understand how they were able to do that.
Yeah.
It's nuts to me.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Other RAs have had crazier stories, much crazier stories.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. No, was that like okay? So that one alcohol bust, was that like was that like throughout the entire building, or was that like one
room?
That was one room.
One room worth of
Oh.
It may have been one. It was one group that bought it. I think they split it into 2 separate rooms. But when they were busted, it was just one room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I didn't realize it was that condensed. I thought it was like at least like a string of rooms that like were all in on it.
I'm still surprised they were able to buy that much. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
Cash flow.
Yeah.
It's 300. What kind of beer was it?
I think it was Miller Lite.
Jeez.
So it's like $18-20.
Yeah.
For a 24 pack.
Something like that.
Did they make 30 racks of Miller Lite?
I don't think they do.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
But that's still like I think $20, $24 is what a 24 pack of Miller Lite goes for. That's what times 10. You're the math guy. $240.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cash. I don't think I dropped $240 throughout an entire semester on anything.
And then even then they lost it all.
Right.
It's just gone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'd be mad, but there's not much you can do. You weren't supposed to have it.
Well, yeah. Like they knew they were breaking rules.
Yeah.
Right.
A freshman dorm trying to drink is just stupid to me. And like I'm not just saying that. Like I didn't do it when I was a freshman because that's I don't understand. There
was a story that I heard, and I don't know when this happened. But there's a resident that was able to buy alcohol. He would just go to Walmart. He would buy diapers. Then he would walk into the liquor store with the diapers. He would buy liquor and diapers. If they asked for his ID, he would just leave. But generally, they wouldn't ask for his ID. He had a kid.
Yeah.
And
oh
what
my
he would
gosh.
do with the diapers, he would drop them off at a fire station so they could be properly donated. I borderline thought that kid shouldn't have been written up. I think he should have been rewarded.
Honestly, that's pretty smart.
Like a genuine service for people. It was such a kind thing to do. But
I mean, as illegal as that is, that's smart.
Yeah, it is smart,
And the fact that they're thinking at such a high level.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
I never even considered that.
Yeah.
That doing something like that would work.
Yeah.
But man, good on him. But just as a general PSA, as an RA going out to all residents that are under 21, or your room is under 50% occupancy of 21-year-olds, please don't drink. Please don't have alcohol in your room. It makes our job harder. It makes your life miserable if we catch you. It's just not worth it.
Well, the thing that's mind-blowing to me is that, like, I remember freshman orientation, or not orientation. And maybe it was orientation. It was either orientation. It was week of welcome. Mm-hmm. That's when it was. They sat us all down in the Michael's ballroom, and they were like, this was campus safety. This was our campus safety. It wasn't don't drink. It was we know you're going to drink.
Yeah.
Because it happens on every college campus.
Yeah.
Underage drinking. It's at this point, it's like, it's not something that gets avoided. It's not something that's avoided, period. Campus safety was like, we know you are going to drink. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
It wasn't, don't have alcohol, don't do this, don't do that. And then, like, my RA freshman year, he didn't really talk about that much. He actually got fired for different reasons.
Wait, where were you freshman year?
Mad Lore, second floor.
Oh,
I'm not going to say who it was on
yeah,
there,
I
but
know.
yeah, you both know who it is.
I think you lived next door to my friends.
I did.
You did? Okay.
I know who they are, yeah.
All right.
Like Nate
Yeah,
and
Nate,
Mike.
Michael Mike
Adam.
Transfer, but yeah, Adam Mack.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a heck of a floor. We tortured Roman that second
Oh,
semester.
yeah, because Roman, yeah.
We were so mean to Roman. We were good friends with Roman, though.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good rapport with him. But we would wake him up at like 3 in the morning because we were having electrical problems. Roman, like, something's happening. We're having serious electrical issues. Like, this such and such is not working.
Was there just like you guys flickering the lights or something?
Dude is tied 2 extension cords together. We wouldn't plug them in. He would come in and go, "You're kidding me, right?" It's like, "Good morning, Roman." Oh, what is it? I think one time it was like 2 in the morning, and we woke him up to show him a replay of something that happened in a video game, and we were like, "Roman, get in here!" And we acted like somebody was dying, and then we woke him up. We showed him that he was mad, but yeah, Roman was a really good sport.
That's hilarious.
Roman definitely should have written us up every time.
I didn't know Roman that well. I don't know. I missed the RA we had before Roman. Like, Roman wasn't bad, but I don't know. But, like, what I was getting at was that there's a lot of RAs that, like, I'm not gonna drop names, but the third floor Mad Lore RA that year, I don't even remember his name, honestly. But I know I wasn't at his meetings on the second floor, but I knew people on third floor. And apparently he was just like, in terms of like alcohol, if I don't see it, I don't smell it, I don't care. Which is a very interesting attitude to have. It's a very risky thing to say to a floor freshman.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is there's not much we can do unless we can see it, we can hear it, or we can smell it.
Right.
Because yeah, unless you have your door wide open and we see you doing it or something like that, we can't do anything because we don't have that kind of authority. Now, if we hear something, we're allowed to knock on your door, and if you're acting suspicious, we can ask you to open it up. Show us the room, open the fridge, things like that.
Yeah.
And if you don't cooperate with us, we can call campus safety. Campus safety will come in. But generally, freshmen are very cooperative. Usually they know when the jig is up, and they'll be compliant. You've got your outliers of some people who will be very combative about it.
Yeah.
And with those people, you just take notes of what they said, you put it in your IR, and you just call campus safety. Because at that point, if they're not going to listen to you, there's no chance they're going to soften up until campus safety is there. But for the most part, I mean, 95% of the freshman class is very intelligent. And then if they are going to do it, they will do it safely. And if nothing else, that's what we encourage. Our first step is just don't do it, because that's just the safest.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you are going to do it, you have to do it safely and in a very controlled environment, if at all possible. But it's just that 5% that really ruins it for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they're belligerent, they're irresponsible. They're the ones that you'll find puking in a bathroom, butt naked at 3 in the morning or something like that. Those are the ones that are the problem that we are there for. We're just kind of overpaid babysitters, if you really break down the job. But, we're there to build community and keep people safe. And generally, people keep themselves safe. We're just there to stop the ones who can.
Yeah. But then, like, it's just, I don't know, it's so interesting to me that, like, that's the culture that we've built.
Mm-hmm.
Like underage drinking, like, looking at it in a black and white sense, it's illegal.
Well, if you look at
But then...
so we're gonna blend in history again here. So that's why you got me on here.
All right.
We are a country founded by Quakers.
Right.
Quakers and religious individuals who had very strong stances against drinking, gambling, things like that. If you go look at other countries, their drinking age is much younger, sometimes in the 16s. I know Germany is 16, and they view alcohol differently than the United States does. A lot of times teenagers, because they never have any experiences with it and that their parents don't introduce it to them, they're not shown that it's something to do in moderation and with certain things going along with it. They see it as, we're going to consume as much as possible in a very short amount of time just to feel the effects. If you go somewhere like France, like a 12-year-old is having wine, but they're not having wine for the purpose of getting blasted. It's like a cultural thing. It's somebody took the time to grow this, to make this, to age it in a barrel, to do all these different things. Germany, beer is an art form there, so you can drink at 16, and it's not done in a let's get trash manner. It's done in a this is like a craft. You look at it more like a painting than you do like a soda, and then that's the cultural difference. We were founded by people who did not like drinking, didn't like alcohol, didn't like drugs, none of that stuff. So we have always like lagged behind in terms of how we view things. Now I'm sure if you lower the drinking age, we would still have the problems because culturally, we don't have that basis set that this is something to be done like in a family atmosphere, at a dinner, at a social event. We see it as something like, oh, hammer it down as fast as possible, deal with it later. So that's the big thing. If you could go back and send not Quakers to the United States, first of all, things might be a little different because you can see how Europe is playing out and how they're developing drug programs, things like that. Which still not great, but it's more regulated, it's safer, it's taxed, it's all these things. It's cleaner because it's state sponsored.
Right.
And that's why the United States has the problems that we do, because we were just founded by like very religious people.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. They came in because they didn't want them where they were.
Right.
It's like Pilgrims, Quakers, they were, cast out, discriminated against, which is hilarious because then they came here and did the same thing as everybody else.
Right.
It was nuts. But I think to circle back, it's very much a cultural thing.
Yeah. I had never thought of it that way, like in terms of like from a historical aspect. I never thought of it because I always look at. Cause I'm someone who looks at the present, like because I'm not a history person at all, and the way I look at it is, other countries they have a lower drinking age. Like for example, like you said, Germany is 16. I actually thought it was 18 personally, but I guess it's 16, which actually makes sense when I think about it, because I know I had friends that were under 18 that went to Germany and drank. Now that I think about it, so like back when I was in high school, but when we were in high school, because we're all the same age. But where was I going with this? But then when we look at like our country, our drinking age is 21. Like what that blows my mind that the drinking age in other countries is 16 and they don't have issues.
Yeah.
And then the drinking age in our country is 21, which theoretically, looking at it just on paper in the present, should make it less of an issue. Yeah. But like binge drinking is not an issue in almost any other country. And
really, generally, where we are introduced to drinking, like outside of in media and on screens, is right in that breadbasket of 14 to 18. Yeah. That's when you really get people who have those drinking problems. I think, personally, if you sit your kid down with a glass of wine at a dinner table in a nice Italian dinner, you're going to set a standard for that kid to know that it's something to be enjoyed, not abused. And I think that's what some of those European... Now, not saying Europeans have nobody who binge drink, abuse alcohol, things like that.
Oh, right.
But I think if it was introduced in a family setting, controlled and shown that it's something to be handled responsibly, I think we could see a change. But then again, what do I know? 22 years old. I'm all right. I just,
right.
It's the mistakes of youth, thinking that you know everything, you can solve every problem.
Right.
But I mean, if we take nothing away from this, it's don't do it until you're 21, and if you're going to do it responsibly and in a controlled setting.
Don't be stupid about it.
Don't be stupid about it.
Yeah. And then likewise, it's not to say that everyone who drinks in the United States, even before they're 21, does it irresponsibly. Like, there are responsible drinkers here. And something that I do like in most cases, there's some cases where it's probably not the best thing in the world, but like in most cases, I like the fact that there's some people might not know this. There's a law in Wisconsin that says you can drink before you're 21 if you are with like your legal guardian.
And that's a great law, I think.
Yeah.
Because it encourages kids, if they're going to do it with their family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're making an attachment to alcohol with your family, that it's something to be done in that family atmosphere during holidays, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some kids won't get. I bet a good majority of the kids won't get that message, but those few that will are gonna be more responsible. They're probably gonna, if they have kids, they're gonna bring that same process to their kids, then it's just gonna up and down the line, it'll get safer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it also doesn't help that we advertise and just like shove alcohol into the faces of everybody. And, oh man, it's kind of better though, because beer commercials now are a little more enjoy it with friends in like a swanky bar, or like in an inner city something or other. Go to a nice restaurant, drink it. So at least that's changing.
Well, yeah, and then like from a social aspect, yeah, that's great too.
Right.
But like the thing is, I can't think of a single like adult-based outdoor event in the United States that doesn't involve alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of college games, like college football games. They're dry, but only inside the stadium.
Yeah.
Which is they're skirting the rules there, because technically there's no alcohol inside the stadium, but it's all outside the stadium.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to agree.
Well, like any sports games or just like festivals.
Yeah.
Street fairs, all that stuff. You can always buy alcohol.
Yeah, and it's crazy that's like, because it's such a big part of our society. Like right now, I'm getting over mono, and part of mono is that like you can't drink at all, just because like even though I'm through like I think this is our first show that we've had since I had mono, because like this time last weekend my voice was just bad.
Oh yeah. Can't confirm.
Yeah. Have you had mono?
I've never had mono.
Oh, did you hear me talk at all?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. But excuse me. Part of having mono is that your liver just like dies, and alcohol like doesn't like you do not drink when you have mono, and then you have to wait like 2 months after you have mono before you can really start drinking again, because like even though you feel better, the effects are still there, like in your liver and spleen. And
so what would happen if you do?
You
just get really sick?
It would just damage my liver. Like there's no tomorrow.
Ugh, yikes.
But the reason I bring this up is because like I turned 21 this past summer, so I've been able to drink legally for almost 4 months now, and it's been nice being able to like go out with other friends who are 21 to bars and just like casually drink. Like I don't really go to the bar seeking to get trashed. I don't find that fun. But like going like that's just part of our culture as 21-year-olds. That's what we do. And now that I can't do that, I'm really starting to notice how like different it is. Like last night, because like I said, I had this math conference for this morning and last night, and one of our professors actually took us out to the bar after the conference. It's Dr. Law. Super awesome. We were all 21, and he bought us all around. But I couldn't. Like, I went and hung out, but I couldn't drink. Yeah. And even though I was still, like, there and I could talk and, like, I didn't feel like crap and I could hang out, like, I still felt like I was missing out. Just because I didn't have a freaking beer in my hand.
It's the idea of, I think it's just the idea of the exclusion of the like, you know, on nights that I'm on duty or on weekends that I'm on duty, there's one night that I'm the secondary, so I don't have to be in the building. I can be out with my friends over at their apartment. But I generally on those nights I don't drink, and it's the same idea. I think I just it's just you feel left out, just because you're not taking part in that.
Yeah.
There's really nothing wrong with it. I know there's a lot of people who actively don't drink. One of my friends, Nate Ballard, I don't know if you've ever met him.
I think I know.
Big, strong kid.
Yeah.
He's oh my God.
Kind of short curly hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know what it is.
He doesn't drink, and it's because he's super into lifting, and it's detrimental to I think muscle growth. If you drink too much, then for like the entire week, your muscles aren't going to be worked the same as if you hadn't. So he tends to stay away from it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the people that can do it. It's impressive that they're able to have that level of self-control.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with alcohol, once you get one down, generally a second follows, and traditionally a third. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's as long as you do it responsibly, doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right, well, it is 12:56, so we are almost out of time. Any last-minute thoughts, things you want to say on air?
Well, I definitely want to thank you for joining us this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's kind of last minute, so I appreciate you being willing to come out. This was fun. It was good.
It was a great show, yeah.
Yeah, no, we'd definitely love to have you back on sometime, maybe even with like another person, or just by yourself. Either way. No, this is cool. Yeah, thanks, Thomas, for coming on. to listeners, as you know, the show is not only live streamed over the radio. I want to say live streamed, but it's aired over the radio. But we also record it, and then I upload the shows to my YouTube channel, QT198, every week, Monday at 2 o'clock. So this week, Monday at 2 o'clock, this entire recording will be uploaded. You'll be able to listen to it there if there's anything you want to hear again from the show, or if you missed out. And yeah, that's about all from us. Show is tentative next week. We'll see what happens, but we'll be back 2 weeks from now for sure. So thank you for listening, and take care. We will see you again soon.